eat. And I will be mindful of that. If no one has told you today, you are so beautiful, you don't understand what you've done to this man's spirit to walk in this room and to see this beauty. And I'm not talking about beauty in the carnal sense of it, but in the sense of what God has intended when he made us. Many of you have taken many roads, have gone through many travels to get to a place where you have the understanding that you have of God. I would like to share with you that so have I. And when we focus on the similarities instead of the difference, I think we get a true understanding of what God intended. Even though I stated I was a Christian, it was very important that I did for one reason. If I get some of your customs a little wrong, then you do. Understand, I respect your customs. And I don't want to be a Christian in the sense of my belief being that there's somebody somewhere that's going to do more for me than I have to do for myself. Because that's the strength that you have. That's the power in the rooms that you're in. That there's an understanding of what it is that you yourself must do as a human, as it is to represent God as you understand him. And because you have decided to do that, daily our communities change. Even a Christian like me changes his perspective because of your discipline, because of your commitment, because of your dedication. And the greatest characteristic of all that I find in my Muslim friends is their lack of fear of man and what man can do to you. And I understand today, even though I say that I am a Christian, and I try to live my life in a way, not that you think that I go to church just on Sundays, or that I may read the Bible, I may hear a word, but my actions are Christ-like. And I understand that you believe in Christ too. So you understand what I'm saying when I say I want my actions to be Christ-like. I believe that a Muslim, a child of God, is what we all aspire to be. But because of the debate of language and tongue, that others might not see it that way. But I want you to know that we're in a day where it matters not how someone else sees it, but it is more important about how we see it ourselves. And when you understand the power you have when you walk in a room for change, for the better, for good, regardless of who you encounter, whether it is male, female, child, adult, senior, or infant, your power does exist. And you show that when you show up. So I have some business I must take care of before I dig a little deeper. And that is the business of the city of Norfolk. I want to welcome you on behalf of the city of Norfolk, our mayor, the Dr. Kenneth Cooper Alexander, and the rest of Norfolk City Council. As was stated, I am John J.P. Paige, and I am your councilman for Ward 4 in the city of Norfolk, and this here is Ward 4 in Norfolk. And like I said, thank you. Let's give that up. We're making progress in a day and time where we can proudly stand up and say who it is that we are and how it is that we believe, not just because others get it, because of the proof of the walks of our faith and the fruits thereof that have come. They're buildings that are up. They're not just lives that have changed. Even though every story is not a positive story, where do we only find positive stories? If our Creator meant for it to be that way, then so that way it would be. But even in our trial and tribulation, even in our pain, there's a place that's found that creates room for camaraderie, that creates places for us to all grow closer to God. One thing I know for certain, whether you are Jewish, Hebrew, Muslim, or Christian, If the lights were not on and it was dark in here, if we lit a match, the light would take care of the darkness. So for the rest of the conversation, instead of differentiating our differences, let our similarities be the light that is carried in us, that changes not only us or connects us to the celestials, to our Heavenly Father, but gives us the power to impact and change other lives when we show up. See, I'm a young man that traveled many directions on my journey to understand who it is that I was and what was it that I was supposed to do. And whoever I had to call to help me from my humanity, to help me travel to my divinity, to be able to contribute to this great light that God has gifted us with. And I remember the first book that I read from cover to cover. I was 16 years old, a troubled youth, not interested in any of the literature that the teachers had for me. I could not find myself in any of those books. I don't care about Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, and that other one that really rubs me the wrong way. That hair that I told you was standing up, just to mention it, it starts laying down. How many of you remember Old Yeller? Yeah, somebody else too. But there was a book that was given to me. It was the autobiography of Malcolm X. Even though I was raised Catholic, strong family in that faith, but when you're on the inside and you're a child, God gives you the ability to see things, and I best can describe it now as it appeared as if it was more about what it looked like instead of what it was. If you dressed a certain way, if you talked a certain way, if you were around certain people, it meant that you were somehow showing the Spirit of God in your life. But I'm here to tell you today that all I seek is the truth, and all that I choose to deliver is the truth. And when they say that the truth shall set you free, I am free, I am free, I am free. And I believe that deceit is the great enemy of us as a people. I believe that the Superman that they put up on big screens that has kryptonite, I believe that deceit is the same to us. But because I read that book back in 1986, it turned the switch on where a desire to learn and understand more and more and more, and to look beyond what I was told or what somebody was telling me about my origins or who it is that I was. And I jump a little bit as I share with you on this journey so you can understand why I stand the way that I do and why I speak the way that I do, because of the truths that I've been exposed to. As a child, I remember the movie Roots coming on, and all of this as to our origins being from Africa and the trip that we made to this great land. I do not dispute that all life on this earth started in Africa. But my belief today is that my family's origins were already here in this land long before slave ships got here. And it might not sound like what you expected to hear today, but stay with me, because I want to inspire you to take your journey too. Because I have a couple of friends in here that make a trip to Mali. I think they've made their second one this year. And there's a place in Mali called Timbuktu. How many of you heard of Timbuktu? So your mother or your father was going to beat you back to Timbuktu, because that was my first experience with Timbuktu. If you don't do what I say do, I'm going to beat you to Timbuktu. Thank God life is a beating enough, and mama didn't have to put that on me, that I want to enter Timbuktu, a great university. And how about a man named Mansa Musa, who was the wealthiest of all time, had even more than King Solomon? And how about a voyage that was taken on by the king that preceded him? Some will teach that Mansa Musa was his brother, but they had such a political system set up where your brothers and sisters could not precede you if you died or you were not found, because we wouldn't want a brother or sister to get inspired to remove you so they could take your position. Mansa Musa was a director in Mali, and the way that their political system was set up, if the king was not found or something had happened to him, it would be a director that took his place. Now, even though I cannot recall his name, so I will not attempt to pronounce it, but that king made a great voyage. Historically, it says it was the greatest voyage of all time that any had made, with more gold, with more resources, with more ships than any had ever known. And in this journey, they touched down in the Americas. The evidence of this journey are the omelets that puzzle them so much to this day, in a land where there are pyramids that look just like the pyramids in Egypt, other than the steps that come out in South America, Central America, hence the mounds and hills that we actually have in the Americas. I want you to think about this for a minute. Where else on this earth do you have a people, particularly as beautiful as you are, and someone else outside of who it is that they are tell them who it is that they are and where it is that they come from? Do you mean that we just ended up here? That if it was not for those of a European educated system, that we would not know what we know? That we could not exist without them? That we come from places that have Timbuktu, or even in Nigeria, the wall of Benin that they're finding now that's 3 times the length and size of the Great Wall of China? Does it make you wonder that deliberately in stolen legacy, where all of your Egyptian figures, where the noses look like my nose and your nose, that the noses were removed? I'm not angry. I am excited. See, you can do things to distort the truth. You can do things to hide the truth. But there's nothing that we can do to change the truth. The truth is still the truth. I've been told that I have a few minutes. I told you it was a good idea to put me on right before this meal came on, because I'm not going to hold you. But when you eat, I want you to be full, because we don't eat just off of meat alone or the food that's there. I want you to be inspired, because I want you to understand what it is that you do to others. You are an inspiration, because our heritage is carried on your breastplate. It is your dedication. It is your sacrifice. It is your willingness to step from under the umbrella of what it is that they say that we are, that opens us all up to find out truly who it is that we are. So I want you to know this, that even though I may be a Christian and others may be too, we all understand Assalamu alaikum. And being a Muslim means that you are a child of God. And when we learn to bring the languages together, instead of separating them, there should be no offense for how one understands God. What there should be is an applause. Because what I do not see in your families is the struggles that I see outside. So I want you to know there's a job that's being well done if nobody has told you. You're a community that we don't have to worry about a whole lot with the issues that are going on in our community. Many who have made it this way have experienced a lot of these trials and tribulations. But for some reason, when you make it here and you're exposed to the truth, you have the ability to not only turn it around in your life, but to turn it around in everybody's life that you touch and that you come into contact with. Just like I put the speech down that they wrote, it is the fact that you are who you are that gives me the ability to be who it is that I am. And for that, I will always serve you, my brothers and my sisters. I thank you.